the scandal that wiped out 60 million at American Express in 1963. Every analyst on Wall Street quietly marked the company for dead. The investor that quietly did the opposite won it all first. He never opened a single Wall Street research report on it. Instead, he walked into a steakhouse and watched the paying crowd. By the end of this, you will own that exact method. The method that beats analysts costs nothing but a 1-minute call. It costs you nothing but a phone call and a page of blunt questions. The gossip that beats analysts still works, 60 full years later. Stick with me, and you can run this yourself by Saturday. The word comes from Philip Fisher, not from Benjamin Graham. The book that Fisher published in 1958 quietly changed value investing. Scuttlebutt was sailor slang for gossip heard around the water barrel. Philip Fisher turned that idle gossip into a rigorous investing discipline. The grapevine that finally tells the truth first often beats numbers. Here's why the grapevine beats the numbers on the page. Every analyst reads the same annual report that you can read. They all watch the same numbers and reach the same price. So by the time the page is public, the crash has happened. The real edge lives in what that page quietly leaves out. The customer that notices a product worsen before sales quietly collapse. A supplier watches a firm start to pay its bills late. The employee that saw what the chief executive quietly buried inside. None of that hits the page until the stock has already crashed. The rot that surfaces months before Wall Street ever prices ruin. Skip this work and you are trusting a stranger's tidy summary. That is how ordinary people get wiped out and lose everything. They buy a story, the numbers dressed up, then go broke. The catch is, the honest numbers on the page arrive late. The trick that let Buffett arrive early before the crash hit. Now watch how Warren Buffett actually did it in 1963. The supplier that faked whole warehouses of salad oil later vanished. The oil was mostly seawater, so the collateral was worthless. American Express had guaranteed that entirely worthless cargo of oil. The stock crashed from $65 down toward $35. Investors were certain the whole company would soon collapse. The question that nobody on Wall Street ever bothered to ask. Do everyday people out there still trust the little green card? So he drove to Ross's Steakhouse and watched the door. Buffett stood behind the cashier there for an entire busy evening. You can hear the register clacking as diners settled the bill. The cards that kept flowing proved nobody at all had switched. The scandal filled the front page, yet the cards kept flowing. Here's where the whole picture quietly changed for Buffett. He did not stop at one restaurant door, though. He questioned the restaurant owners taking the green cards nightly. He asked bank tellers whether travelers still bought the checks. He pressed hotel clerks and watched weary airline ticket agents. Every answer said the same thing. The trust was intact. A loss that finally proved to be one isolated $40 million wound. Now, here's the thing the whole panic completely missed. The card business itself had honestly never been healthier. Buffett held hard proof the frightened crowd could not see. So he poured a huge share of his partnership into it, roughly 40% of everything Buffett was then managing. The stock that tripled in 3 years quietly made partners rich. That single grapevine walk quietly made his partners rich. And Buffett never once glanced at a squiggly price chart. So here is that method, broken cleanly into 5 sources. Each source knows one thing the annual report carefully hides. First source, the customers whose exit would bankrupt the firm. Ask if they would switch tomorrow and leave the firm broke. Listen for whether losing them would ruin the whole business. Loyal customers are a moat that Buffett says you can hear. Second source, the suppliers who go unpaid once a firm is broke. Ask a supplier if the firm pays on time or is going broke. A firm that secretly delays payment past 90 days is insolvent. The trouble that suppliers saw long before the stock ever fell. Third source, the competitors who would love to see them collapse. Ask a rival over a dark drink which company they fear. The name they say with real respect, like Buffett, usually wins. Notice how honestly a rival names the threat that could ruin them. Fourth source, the former employees who already walked out the door. Ask them plainly why they quit and left the company. Ask what leadership hides from Wall Street to dodge a collapse. Ex-employees show you the rot that could bankrupt it. Fifth source, the trade press and the seasoned insiders. Read the dull journals that Fisher and Buffett actually read. Attend the conference and hear the talk near the coffee urn. The reason this works is simple, and it is deeply human. People love to talk about the work they have mastered. The job that matters most is to ask, then stay silent. But now the obvious objection: you are not Warren Buffett. You cannot fly to Omaha and grill the executives yourself. Here's why that objection no longer actually holds up. The grapevine moved onto the page, and it is wide open. Customer reviews gathered at scale are scuttlebutt in bulk. The reviews that span 3 full years quietly reveal the pattern. You are hunting for the same complaint repeating on every page. A repeated defect can quietly bankrupt the whole company. Glassdoor is your ex-employee interview, already transcribed for you. Sort it by the lowest ratings and read the page closely. Watch what the departing engineers keep repeating over and over. Online forums are the trade show hallway, open on the page. Find the thread where real practitioners argue the fine details. Now do what Peter Lynch did and go visit the store yourself. Count the cars you saw crowding the lot last Saturday. Mystery shop the product the way Peter Lynch worked an aisle. Call the company's investor relations line and simply ask. Ask the pointed question that has no rehearsed answer. Then phone a salesperson and hear the rival's honest pitch. Ask which rival keeps them awake, dark with dread of ruin. Now imagine stacking 10 small signals onto one page. No single call decides the whole thing on its own. But 10 calls all pointing one way is a green light. That conviction is what lets you hold on through the crash. Here is the exact recipe written plainly on one page. Pick one company whose product you have seen yourself use. Write 5 questions on a page, 1 for each source. Read 50 reviews and tally each complaint on the page. Read the accounts of employees who saw the rot inside. Post 1 honest question on the forum page and wait. Call one supplier or dealer and ask about payment terms. Call one competitor and hear plainly who they truly fear. Visit one store and study the shelves and the door. Fill a single page with everything you manage to hear. The reason for just one page is pure, ruthless discipline. The page that contradicts the story warns you before going broke. But here's the trap that ruins most amateur scuttlebutt. One angry review is just an anecdote, never a real pattern. You are counting steady repetition, never one loud, angry voice. Hunt hardest for the answer that proves you dead wrong. That disconfirming voice can save you from a ruinous loss. And always weigh every finding against the price you pay. A great company at a stupid price still leaves you broke. Scuttlebutt tells you what margin of safety tells you when. Here's why this humble method survives every market crash. Filings and screeners that miss the coming crash reach everyone, but now the payoff, the phone call saves you from ruin. Philip Fisher built his fortune on companies he telephoned. The secret that Buffett calls scuttlebutt is still the best kept edge. You now hold the method that keeps you from going broke. The work is unglamorous, but it keeps you from going broke. Wall Street skips it, so the ruin blindsides them. You only need one company or a bad one leaves you broke. That is the scuttlebutt method, from the first call to the last. The grapevine spoke plainly, and Buffett simply listened first. Tomorrow, how to read a 10K in 30 minutes and find exactly what the chief executive buried inside it. If this was useful, the next episode is already waiting. Subscribe. Because the honest numbers, remember, always arrive late to the crash. Real value hides in whatever the page forgets to say. So pick your one company and go stand behind the counter. The scandal that quietly built a fortune cost $60 million first. Tomorrow, how to read a 10K in 30 minutes and find what the CEO buried.